We've talked about the overview of progressing your at-home training plan, and we've covered increasing the volume as a means of progression. Now we'll cover intensity. Now this really comes in two forms. One is relative repetition intensity. So if you've got a weight that you can lift 10 times, how many of those 10 reps are you going to perform in your set? The way that we can do this, most of you have ladders programmed into your routines. So the way that we can do this is by keeping the total volume of the ladder the same, the total number of reps that we do, but just changing how we get those reps. So say you've got a push-up variation that you're doing ladders of 1, 2, and 3 on. It's maybe something that you could do 5 reps of in an all-out effort. Well, now instead of breaking that up into 3 sets, 1, 2, and 3, we're going to break those 6 reps up into a set of 2 and a set of 4. So we're abbreviating the number of sets, increasing the volume per set, which means you're going to be working harder. You'll also want to take a little extended recovery because you're increasing the relative effort that you're putting in. So if you're doing 1, 2, and 3, your ladder is now 2 and 4. If you're doing 2, 3, 5, your ladder is 4 and 6. You're still accumulating those 10 reps. If you're doing 2, 4, 6, 5, and 7, so still 12 reps, but in a higher intensity set. If you're doing 4, 6, 10, you're probably already using a relatively low intensity. So we can really get screwy with this ladder and turn it into a set of 5 and 15 to get our 20 reps, but still have a low and a high intensity set within that ladder. So that's one way in which to increase the intensity. The other way is to simply add weight, or more likely and more applicable at home is to probably use a band, add a band to your exercise. If you want to jury rig added weight, there are these little magnetic things called plate mates that you can order online that will stick to the bottom of your kettlebell, not for swings, but for goblet squats, presses, that sort of thing. You could also, although please don't do it with our kettlebells if you've borrowed them, simply duct tape a weight plate to the bottom of the bell and just cover that sucker in duct tape. If it's your bell from home, go ahead, feel free to do that, and you can step up the intensity of the bell pretty significantly. Make sure it's a good tape job so that you can perform your ballistics, your swings, your snatches that way. If you happen to be lucky and get your hands on some new kettlebells, that's an obvious way to add weight, or more likely to get your hands on some used ones via Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or eBay, although you're probably going to pay a pretty penny even for a used bell at this point, given the nature of the season that we're in. But adding a band is probably most applicable. We still have quite a lot of bands here, so if you are looking to add resistance and don't have a band at home, we can certainly add one to your take-home gear. So I'm going to show you an example with a band to increase the intensity of my deadlift. I'm just going to loop the band around the arch of the foot, make sure it's in the arch of the foot. And I'm going to stand over the bell, and I'm going to put the band on the bell handle, and I'm going to stand. So now, instead of this 24 kilo bell, at the top I probably have more like a 36 kilo bell, even with a light band. If I'm going to do a goblet squat with an increase of resistance in band, I'm going to only use one end of the band, because at the top That's quite a lot of increase in resistance, even with only one side of the band on there. With the press, I'll just put the band around 1 foot, right in the arch. I'm going to use a cheap clean to get it up into the rack position. The band is around my thumb side, and I press. Now this, because of the fact that the band is at its longest, is the most significantly increased exercise by virtue of using the band. In fact, just using the band itself might be a good option for you. So we've got bands of varying degrees of difficulty. If you need to come in and borrow one, please just let me know, okay? That's both relative intensity and absolute intensity covered. Next, we'll talk about density.